Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus channel.
Okay, we're currently on top of...
Criminal organizations make use of small and high-speed power boats known as go-fast boats for drug trafficking. For this reason, the United States continuously performs maritime patrols to monitor its waters and immediately disable any go-fast boat that is being used for drug trafficking or other criminal activities in its territories. The maritime patrol activities in the United States are usually handled by the Helicopter Interdiction Tactical Squadron. It's an armed United States Coast Guard helicopter squadron, which specializes in airborne use of force and drug interdiction missions.
Light on the bad guy boat, off and on, okay?
Hit-Run operates helicopters in known smuggling vectors and relies on expertly trained air crews and precision marksmen to disable go-fast drug smuggling vessels in the event suspects refuse to comply with verbal and visual warnings for law enforcement boardings under international maritime law. Hit-Run operations began as an experiment to stop the flow of illegal drugs into the United States. Go-fast boats could travel over twice the speed of Coast Guard cutters, so the Coast Guard needed a way to counter the threat. In 1998, 6 Coast Guard pilots and 4 enlisted aircrew members developed tactics and procedures to utilize armed helicopters operating aboard Coast Guard cutters to answer the call and intercept go-fast boats in open waters. In addition to using helicopters, the U.S. Coast Guard has conducted several operations at sea using speedboats, intercepting threats and neutralizing them if necessary. For instance, members of the Coast Guard Cutter Weishi law enforcement boarding team intercepted and inspected a self-propelled semi-submersible in eastern Pacific Ocean international waters. This turned out to be the biggest of the 6 drug interdictions during the counter-narcotics patrol, which occurred on November 20th, 2023, busting more than 5,500 pounds of contraband, along with illegal immigrants. United States Customs and Border Protection is another law enforcement agency that is responsible for U.S. border protection for both land and open water bodies. The CBP agents use 26-foot-long safe boats for patrolling the waters, which, according to the manufacturer, are constructed for a long life of rigorous field use. The boat's aluminum hull is virtually unsinkable, meaning the boat won't perish even after collision with another boat. CBP's specially trained agents drive these high-powered speedboats to confront people illegally crossing U.S. borders by water. On the other hand, CBP's subdepartment, known as Air and Marine Operations, takes a different approach to responding to security threats and challenges. With over 1,800 federal agents and mission support personnel, over 200 aircraft and 300 marine vessels operating throughout the United States, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, AMO conducts its mission in the air and maritime environments, interdicting unlawful people and cargo approaching U.S. borders.
When you look at the quality of our agents, most of our agents come on board the job already have come from a career in the past. They already have the maturity level that they need. This is why they're entrusted by the agency to make those hard decisions, to make the decisions to fire warning shots or disabling fire at a boat 20 miles offshore in the middle of the night.
In 2015, AMO detected a lights-out vessel operating during hours of darkness and transiting between the Bahamas and southeast Florida, which is a known smuggling transit area. The AMO agents intercepted the suspect vessel with 2 Midnight Express interceptor vessels, surrounded it from both sides, and removed the threat. Every year, several immigrants try to enter the U.S. illegally. In 2024, there were nearly 3 million encounters with inadmissible migrants at the U.S. border. CBP takes a swift and sophisticated approach to spotting these illegal immigrants. Initially, surveillance technology such as drones was used to detect movement. Once a group trying to cross the borders is detected, helicopters are deployed to reach the destination. The border agents then catch these immigrants and detain them for further processing, which involves identity verification and necessary legal actions. In efforts to further secure the border, CBP uses what's known as Aerostat. Equipped with cameras and other surveillance and communications equipment, these large fabric envelopes are used to collect information about cross-border traffic and activities. Aerostats are filled with helium that helps them rise to an altitude of 15,000 feet. Moreover, they can lift approximately 1,000 kilograms of payload to an operating altitude, providing low-level, downward-looking radar coverage. The CBP launches the Aerostat from a large circular launch pad containing a mooring system containing a large winch with 25,000 feet of tether cable. The Aerostat then operates and provides surveillance in the nearby area. What's more interesting is that the operational availability of an Aerostat is generally limited only by the weather and routine maintenance downtime. Therefore, CBP can use it to conduct regular surveillance. Occasionally, migrants attempt to cross into the U.S. through underground tunnels. This is also the case with the drug cartels that transport drugs into the country using tunnels and pipes. To prevent this, Border Patrol agents utilize remote-controlled robots to investigate underground passageways before going in themselves.
Yes.
The robot operates like a tiny tank with treads that can easily maneuver over dirt and debris. Additionally, it is equipped with a flashlight and a camera, allowing it to provide live coverage of what's inside the tunnels.
Back. Ease it back.
Ease it back.
A little more.
Back.
A little more.
A little bit more.
Yeah, good.
Clear, good.
Sometimes, the illegal immigrants try to breach the U.S. borders using cars or other types of vehicles. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection has a unique way of tackling such cases. In 2016, at the Tucson Air Show in Arizona, the Air and Marine Operations Department demonstrated how they track and follow a car that has entered the United States illegally. In Black Hawk helicopters, wearing armor and equipped with guns, border agents were geared up to descend and make the arrest. However, the culprits were to be cornered first. A smaller helicopter piloted by Arizona police confronted the offending vehicle in an insane low-altitude, high-speed chase. Once the chopper made the car stop, the patrol agents and trucks on the ground surrounded it. Finally, the AMO operatives and the Blackhawks lowered themselves by a rope to the ground and arrested the offenders. Another notable organization is the International Ice Patrol, which monitors the presence of icebergs in the Atlantic and Arctic Oceans and reports their movements for safety purposes. Icebergs are a major threat, and the U.S. Coast Guard continuously conducts patrols on behalf of the maritime nations that conduct trade across the Atlantic by international treaties. The mission of the International Ice Patrol is to promote safe navigation of the North Atlantic Ocean during the ice season, which runs from February 1st through July 31st, when the danger of iceberg collision is greatest. One of the main sources for gathering information about icebergs is the C-130 Hercules. The International Ice Patrol uses this aircraft to locate icebergs in the ocean. With the help of radars and spotters, the IIP gathers valuable information about icebergs at 15,000 feet altitude. This mission is extremely tricky, and trained personnel are sometimes tasked to conduct it in extreme weather conditions.
The job is very tricky. We have the North Atlantic Current, the Labrador Current, along with the Gulf Stream that all come together around the Grand Banks of Newfoundland.
The International Ice Patrol uses ocean drifting buoys to track the deep water currents that affect iceberg drift. Every year, 12 to 15 buoys are deployed in the Labrador Sea and North Atlantic region from the air using C-130 aircraft. This is done during iceberg reconnaissance. The IIP uses modified World Ocean Circulation Experiment buoys with drogues attached at the bottom, allowing it to track the deep water currents. These buoys also measure the sea surface temperature using a thermistor on the underside of the surface float. The recorded data is transmitted to satellites that determine the buoy's position and relay the data to Argo's ground stations. The International Ice Patrol was established in 1914 in response to the sinking of the RMS Titanic. Each year, the IIP lays wreaths over the Titanic Memorial Site in remembrance of the 1,517 people who died when the Titanic struck an iceberg and sank. While airborne, the crew deploys memorial wreaths blessed by a priest at the site of the Titanic iceberg collision. The wind carries the wreaths as they leave the C-130 Hercules airplane ramp and land gently on the cold water that was once filled with tragedy more than a century ago. The seamless coordination of maritime, aerial, and land-based patrols strengthens border security and enables effective responses to threats. Agencies ensure a unified defense against illegal activities across multiple domains through advanced technology and strategic collaboration. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.